All right, I'm on an extremely simple adventure today. I think this is my simplest adventure yet in my time in Japan. There's this really famous anime called Your Name that is the highest grossing anime film of all time. And there's this set of steps that's very famous in the movie. I'll blab about the movie a bit more later. But it's this very distinctive set of steps. It's just these steps up to a shrine where the two main characters of the movie, it's like the final scene where they meet. And I do really love that movie, but it's mainly an excuse to go somewhere, just a target, a target of somewhere to go. So I did the little searching this morning and it's like, wow, that's easy. All I had to do was walk north from my Airbnb, just a few blocks up to Saraway Park, that park I went to the first night I was in that neighborhood. Jump on the Shinjuku line, go 8 stops or something, and get off. And now I'm walking in that general direction. I don't need to go there right away. I'm just going to wander around the neighborhood a bit because, once I get there, it's just steps, right? So, no big hurry. But the one thing that's kind of sort of near here is the big shrine next to Yoyogi Park. So I don't think I've ever been to this particular neighborhood. But from here I could walk to a place I do know, because it turns out everything in central Tokyo is very close. And I decided to do this nice little easy adventure because my sleep schedule's still all whacked out. There's really no point, I guess, in chronicling it in exhaustive detail as I have been. Just I haven't been sleeping that much, and then yesterday it kind of flip-flopped. So because I was so tired, I went to bed early and woke up early and got to have an early morning. Today was the opposite, but there's, upsides to that of, again, having the Airbnb just be empty. Just empty. I could just shave and buzz my hair and take a shower. And it's just like, no rushing, no hurry, not in anyone's way. Nice and calm. What time is it anyway? It's got to be pretty late already. Yeah, it's almost 2 o'clock. So I got a couple hours of sun. Just enough for this mini adventure. I haven't had anything to eat yet either, and I think the soy ginger mackerel fucking party might be over. I'm just walking up some other steps right now, and I'm like, these are nice steps too. The only reason these steps aren't notable is because they weren't in a famous anime. Otherwise they'd be cool. But yeah, the soy ginger mackerel, a delicious dish only available at 7-Eleven. And most stores would only have one. Very rarely they had two. But I was just finding them a lot for about a week. And today I've been to 3 7-Elevens and they don't have them. And it's like, I should just give up on that. I should just eat food. Because Elf needs food badly, and it's hitting that point where I'm waiting for the train that ain't never gonna come. It is really easy to string yourself along, though, of just, there's this another 7-Eleven, just around the block. Oh, there's another one just over here. Oh, there's another one just over here. But at what point do you just admit, this is not working? This is not a good plan when it's 2 p.m. and you haven't eaten yet. And yeah, my next Airbnb is, going to be back in Western Tokyo. Hopefully I'll get back to just hiking and going into the woods. Because I never had any sleeping problems when I was doing that stuff, so maybe everything will just whip back into shape. But I don't really have a clear reason why this keeps happening, why I can't seem to get my shit together. Though it's definitely very much attributed to the internet. Just that the internet is there and available, and it's just an endless source of something to focus on. Because I remember in 2019 when I was here, now I've got good internet at all my Airbnbs. None of them have had bad internet, but public internet is almost not a thing. Starbucks and Tully's tends to have internet, but that's about it. Where in 2019, I think all my Airbnbs had internet problems of one kind or another. The one in Akigawa, the internet just didn't work at all. The one in Fukuoka was definitely dipped and dived, disappeared for days at a time. And the one in Nakaitabashi mostly worked, but again had a few stretches of a few days where there was no internet. But that was kind of a nice thing because that's such a difficult experience to have nowadays. to just not have the internet in your house. So at night, I just remember it really made me feel like I was in the 90s again. At night, I would just I guess I would read some comics or whatever was already loaded on my phone, watch a little movie, but I would just kind of get tired of it and go to bed. There just wasn't anything to compel me forward all night. And then in the morning, you just wake up and you can't check your social media. You can't see who uploaded shit to YouTube. You can't see what today's new podcasts are. You just get up. And I was like, this does feel better. I do prefer this feeling. And then in 2019, because all the convenies back then had Wi-Fi, then I would just go stand outside the 7-Eleven and download the podcast for the day or whatever I needed while I was walking around. And I think there was like a 20-minute limit. So if I did run out, then I'd just go around the corner to the Lawson's. And then there's also a Family Mart. And I really kind of preferred that system. That was kind of cool. Like, it's severely hard to not have internet. It's just a very hard thing to arrange for yourself. And it's just one of those deals where, yeah, you can train yourself not to spend all day on the internet. You can work on it, but it's just so much harder to be disciplined than it is if it's just not there. If it's just not available, you don't do it. The end. Addiction over. And it's like, what a nice feeling. But it's an extremely rare feeling that I mostly only felt when visiting Japan, and not anymore. Now that scenario is gone. Now the convenies don't have Wi-Fi, and the Airbnbs have all upped their game. I think it's just already, even just in the last 4 years, just not acceptable to have bad internet anymore. The place I'm at now has 3 different internet. Internet for the ground floor, the 3rd floor I'm on, and the 4th floor. I don't know what the 2nd floor is. I guess there isn't one. I guess the restaurant just has high ceilings. But yeah, I noticed like my internet's going great. Then people will come into the Airbnb and my internet goes to shit. So I just log on to one of the other internets. It's like, yeah, no worries on the internet front around here. But unfortunately, also, it's certainly contributing to my weird sleeping. But there's a very weird upside to these bender days where I just stay up all night till the sun's rising. This might just be for me. I don't know that this applies to anyone else, but let me tell you the weird thing that came of it that was good, except I see a 7-Eleven across this busy street. So I'm going to go check that out, but if they don't have the thing, I'm just going to get something else. I got to eat something. Man, these stairs are way too close. It's like they're just like way too close. Like, I gotta go somewhere else. What's this thing? Shinjuku Gyoen National Garden. That's right by Yoyogi and stuff. And it's like, I don't know what that is. Never been there. And it turns out it's like, I'm sure it's very beautiful, but it's like $5 to go see this park. You can just pay for it with your IC card, which is cool, with your Suica or whatever. You can just tap your transit card, but no, I'm good. Besides, the parking lot's full. There's a tour bus outside. Everybody else is keeping these things going. I don't need to go. I can just go see a staircase, please. That's what I'm here to do. Man, though, that big building, I don't know what this building is, but it's this enormous building that you can see from all over the place in this neighborhood. And there it is, looming over. It's like, oh yeah, that place. I just remember in 2019 being on one side of that building, and then later when I was just dicking around, experimenting with train stations and stuff, I ended up on the other side, and I was like, yeah, I'm just going to go walk. I'm going to go walk past it, just use it as the navigation point. It really does feel like, I've heard the YouTuber TKO Sam say that if you go to Shinjuku, that's lost in translation Japan. All the ambient imagery in that movie is mainly of that kind of neighborhood, where this area around Shibuya and around those steps in specific, but just this whole sort of place and that building and whatever, this definitely is the Your Name neighborhood. Because there's all these other you could also go to this spot or that spot. None of them are nearly as memorable as that staircase. But part of what I like about that movie, and just about Japanese storytelling in general, are the downtime moments. They really do spend a lot of time just showing the neighborhoods that the two characters are from. And it is cool because, you just soak it in, you can just feel it. yeah, this is that place. This is where that guy lived. Or where he worked, at least. I don't know. You can go find his apartment. I don't know. It's just a green door in an apartment building. It's nothing. But presumably it's around here too. So yeah, I'm just going to circle around. Take the long way to get to these stairs. But it's kind of nice going on a mega small adventure. Like, man, all I got to do is backtrack a little bit back to that station, hop back on, or even just one of the other stations on that line. Sit on that train for a little bit, I'll be right back home. It's like, man, that's different. All my other stuff, even if I'm not going anywhere particular, it always takes a long time to get back. It's like, it's getting dark, I should start heading back. And then by the time I get back, it's like I'm in the land of Halloween evil death ghosts. It's just so dark, you know? But yeah, I think the joyful time of the soy ginger mackerel, the joyful couple weeks at 7-Eleven is over. It was a very unusual product. It really just seemed a lot better than most of the stuff at a convenience store. But on the way to check that 7-Eleven, I saw another 7-Eleven around the corner. So I checked them both. And I think the new thing that's taking up that spot and is in the same form factor, it's just vinegared rice wrapped in tofu skin. And I really don't like that, that stuff. The tofu skin is so weird. It's like kind of moist and spongy and just sort of creepy feeling and tasting. I don't know. It's a lot cheaper because it's just rice and tofu. But that doesn't feel like a fun thing to eat to me. That's not a treat. That's like, yeah, I guess I'll eat that if I have to. But I don't know. It's a rare food that I would describe as clammy. And not that it tastes like clams. I mean clammy like your hands get clammy. It's just like weird. I just don't like it. But I saw that at all the stores and it's in the same little package and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I think whatever happened with the mackerel supply, I think it's over. So I definitely don't regret all the times I gorged on those things or when I ate 2 in a day. I did the right thing. I did what I had to do. Because they were really good. And then for dessert, I found those plums that are still in my pocket from yesterday. It's like, oh yeah, shit. Still as sour as ever. I ate 2 of them and I'm like, good enough, we're good. Those are gonna last me for days. Tokyo Kabuchiko Tower? Is that what it's called? It's a little hard to find a building. I've just like pointed myself at the building and then just draw a line on the map and it's like, I guess, maybe that's it. Buildings are a bit of a weird landmark to try to find on Google Maps, even if they're freaking enormous and mega famous. Because from a map perspective, they're very small. So yeah, I just got some onigiri, which I would describe as delightful. And yeah, if I want to get all fancy pants and get fancy pants barbecued fish and stuff, I'm just going to have to branch out. I'm just going to have to go buy things from places that aren't convenience stores. And I mean, hey, you know, maybe next time. Maybe next visit. This visit, I've made my peace that this is what I do and this is who I am. And damn it, I like me. My wife likes me. My kids like me. That's a movie quote. I don't have a wife and kids. So yeah, speaking of my irresponsible life, the upside sometimes to these weird benders where I just stay up all night for no good reason is then it's like a sort of balancing act in my stupid brain of like, these things I don't really want to do in life, these things that I just find minor stresses, but like I've described recently, a minor stress is more than enough. Because all I need to do is put it off. If it's just enough of a stress that I put it off, then it becomes a problem. You know, it builds into a problem. Doesn't have to be a big issue to become a problem. But then there's the counterbalance of if I stay up all night and I just didn't really get anything useful done that particular day, there's the shame of like, geez, I can't just let this day slip away where I didn't do anything. So for whatever reason, that'll be a lot of times I'll just like, well, before I go to bed, just so this day isn't a total write-off, let's do something productive right now. Let's get something done, something I've been putting off. So that's what happened I was going to say yesterday, this morning when I went to bed at 4 in the morning or whatever, sun coming up, is I booked an Airbnb and a flight to Seoul. Biggity bam boom, next step of the trip, all set, all at once, one fell swoop. Man, you would not believe the number of tiny noises that you just never notice in your day-to-day, because you just move along. But when you're recording a podcast, because especially listening back to my earlier ones where I'm like, I was not being mindful enough of sound. I really let the sound get out of control in some of the episodes of this podcast. But I'm just walking along this little fairly quiet little stretch that it's like, oh, this might not last. I am in Shibuya. We'll see. But even here, there was a guy singing from his balcony. And I'm like, what the heck was that? And then there's just someone pruning a tree, but it's like with a loud buzzsaw sounding thing. Not loud if you walk by, but yeah, it's just, man, it really makes you aware that the world is filled with noise. Holy Lord, there's a lot of noise everywhere. You hear those brakes? Someone needs to get their fucking brakes fixed. Man, I'm just walking toward the big tower, this big building. It doesn't feel very windy today. The weather's really nice, but the clouds are really moving behind that thing. It looks fucking cool. It's a lot warmer than it was yesterday. It's back up to being like 13 degrees. But yeah, this ties into what I was saying in a recent episode about baby steps, you know? Breaking your problems into small, digestible problems. Because there's no way I would have just booked an Airbnb and booked a flight. Like, that's too big. That's too much to digest. I wouldn't have just done all that all of a sudden. It's because I did a little research a couple days ago and set the table for myself. I looked up, the stuff that's obvious, but like getting into South Korea as a Canadian, of course, no problem, but good to have it confirmed. How long can you stay on a visitor visa? 6 months, which is very nice. Longer than I expected. I did some basic searching about, like, they have 2 different airports, and it seems like it's mostly not up to you. You're generally going to go to the further away airport unless it's a domestic flight or from Japan. So I, in fact, did get a flight to the closer, it's more central airport. But yeah, basically I'll tell you what I got set up. But I was thinking, like, this actually is the same way that I booked some of this stuff in Japan. Because it's a very similar situation. It's like, yeah, I do want to go to Japan. I want to do all this stuff. But just all this stuff, setting things in stone and sorting out all the details and sifting through all the stuff is just stressful, and I would just rather not do it, So I definitely had some days back in Canada where I do remember it being like 5 in the morning, the sun's coming up, and I'm like, oh God, I wasted the whole day. Let's just go book an Airbnb. Let's get something productive done. And that might help explain why I have such a bad memory for some of these places. Like, oh, I thought this one place was a capsule hotel, but no, I didn't book the capsule hotel. Or I thought this other place had a laundry machine. Oh no, this one doesn't. Because I was probably on the verge of passing out sometimes when I fucking booked this shit. But maybe that's a benefit also, just being so tired. It's like the worst possible way to make yourself feel drunk or whatever, just feel a little fucked up. It's just to not go to sleep. But maybe that helps too. Maybe that does break down the self-defenses and the anxiety about stuff. It's like, I don't know, whatever. Who cares? Just pick a thing, do a thing. It'll be fine, So I did the Airbnb first, and it went so easy. It was exactly how Airbnb used to feel. How it used to feel in Canada, and even in Japan the one time I came here before, and which it does not feel this way anymore now with COVID and with just everything being fancy pants. It's just a lot more of a to-do to book Airbnbs, where I basically just pulled up Seoul, South Korea, which I don't know at all. I don't know how it's laid out. I don't know where anything is. I don't know shit. Just sorted by cheap. What you got that's cheap? Found a place that was real cheap. It was like $17 a day, but also with like a weekly discount, which is something that used to exist very much so and just doesn't anymore, which brought it down to $15 a day. And it's a totally fine looking little private room for $15. And I'm like, fuck yeah. I mean, maybe that's the benefit of just not being, like, I think South Korea is just not a big ticket item like Japan is. Japan is just so famous. I mean, like this shit I've been doing on this podcast where I'm chronicling literally every goddamn day that I'm here, that ain't happening once I leave Japan. You know, in Canada, I did a podcast every few days or something if something happened. That's my plan going forward, is that, you know, I'll sort of keep tabs on what I'm up to. But this granularity of thinking every little neighborhood is important and worth checking out and worth knowing the name of and worth exploring, that's a Japan thing. That's just a being fascinated with Japan. It's nothing against South Korea. There's no other country like that. You know, there's just none. So maybe that is part of why things were so nice and cheap and easy. Although the reviews did say this place is a little cheaper than normal. Like, this is still unusual. But the reviews weren't bad. They were like, it's a big complex. It's like 32 rooms. There's some old people that seem to be retired that just live there. It's self-check-in with a code. I don't have to meet up with anybody, thank God. It's on one of the lines that leaves from the airport. It's just on a subway. It's a 3-minute walk from one of the subways. I don't know how to work the subway in South Korea. I don't know how I think I heard somewhere you can use a debit card. You don't have to get a commuter pass, but I don't know. I'll look all this stuff up later. I have no idea. They did mention, like, hey, if you want a towel, 3,000 won for one towel, or 5,000 for two. I was like, I didn't even know your money was called that, to be honest. And I don't know what that means. I have no idea. But conveniently, I looked it up. And it's weird. 3,000 won is about $3 Canadian. So it's just really convenient that the way 3,000 yen is probably like, you know, $25 to $27 Canadian. You know, it's sort of close. And 3,000 won was like $3.21. So it's not quite the same decimal point placement. The conversion is a little better against the yen than it is against the won. But Canadian money just conveniently lines up so close to both currencies that I can just kind of do a rough one-to-one translation in my head and it'll be close enough to get a general sense of what stuff costs. However, I did not arrange, because I'm like, how do I even pay for that? What are you even talking about? Whatever, dude. I don't need a towel. I hate when people try to sell me a towel. I'm good. I'll figure it out. Geez, I realize now as I'm walking along the edge of this national park, I have done this before. Maybe not on this side. I think maybe I walked along the other side. Or maybe it was this side, because I think maybe that very thing I was talking about, walking along across, like next to that big building. I feel like I maybe did do this. I don't know. It seems kind of familiar, but not the kind of familiar that really sticks in my head. I'm just like this. I think I just came at it from a different direction. Well, obviously I came at it from like Yoyogi. This is nice though, to be able to walk not in the mega traffic. I'll take it. I don't need to go in the park. I'll just walk next to the park, dude. That's fine with me. So yeah, I mean, all the reviews were, everything was rated out of the 5 stars. Everything was above 4. The only thing that anyone mentioned is that I guess it is next to a busy street. And this guy claimed there was a lot of traffic and some honking and stuff that he did not enjoy. So we'll see. We'll see if that's a problem. I mean, can't be worse than the trains going by. And if I got to put in my headphones with my rain noises, I think I'll be fine. I'm not too worried. But because everything just seemed good, it's like it's a private room. A lot of people live there, which I like. I like not being catered to and observed and paid attention to. I want to be just one of the 32. I want to just be in a unit full of people where no one pays any attention to me and I'm just a cog in the machine. I want a code to get in so I don't have to fucking talk to anybody. It's got everything. It's nice and cheap. It's just a little room with a bed and a fucking desk. So I, in fact, just went from, it's January 24th when I'm leaving. It's just like, how long can I go here? How long is it even available for? It's like February 19th or something? 26 days or something? 24? I don't know. Not quite a month. But I was just like, yeah, fuck it, whatever, give it to me. I don't know anything about South Korea. I don't know where I'm supposed to be. I don't care about neighborhoods. I don't fucking care at all. I don't even know if I'm gonna be exploring like I do in Japan. Maybe I'll just fucking spend the time there. I don't know, fucking, it's gonna be cold and wintry. Maybe I'll just edit stuff. Maybe I'll just edit this podcast. Think back to Japan. I don't know what I'm gonna do. So I was like, yeah, fuck it. It was like $400, a little over $400. for the whole dang fucking almost a month. And it's like, dude, there you go. That's what Airbnb used to be like. Man, that feels good. Maybe that's the benefit to just going to a place that's not a big ticket item. I mean, I think Seoul, South Korea is pretty famous. People seem to like it. But man, what if I just went to other places that are, even cheaper? maybe that's the plan for traveling. I don't know. Oh yeah, and I'd also like to just add an addendum to something I said just last episode, where I was saying how I should have done a little more due diligence to keep my Airbnbs more varied, to stay at places only for a week and move around to different neighborhoods more. But I take it back, because now I realize why I did this, not only because I was just getting tired of booking places. It was a money thing, so actually I think I did the right thing. Because a lot of these places I got were very expensive, going out to West Tokyo for whatever weird reason by the train tracks. I mean, it was a brand new apartment, but, or room under the stairs, whatever the fuck it was. Boutique shed, that was expensive. The places in Fukuoka were both expensive. So those were the ones where I was just brute forcing it. I was just staying as long as I could justify hanging on, but I really did have to pay for it. So places like the place I'm at now, even though I'm packed in with everybody, it was to counterbalance, the place is a lot cheaper. It's like $20-some a day, whatever it is. And I forgot till I booked this place that part of it is that Airbnb charges just weird random fees depending on where you stay. I don't know, I don't ever know how to really figure out what it's going to be or what it means or what the deal is. But it's one of these things that if you do stay for a short period of time or a long period of time, you seem to get a similar bite taken out of you, Staying for short periods of time adds up all these extra fees, these phantom Airbnb fees, that can be kind of a lot. So I was like, oh yeah, that's why. That's another big reason why I booked these places, this one and the one in Yokohama, for like 2 whole weeks each, is because I was getting tired of paying all these extra fees. So now that I remember that, it's like, oh yeah, I think I actually did the right thing. That is what I meant to do and what I would do in future. Like, if you gotta pay extra to go to West Tokyo, that's worth it because the travel is insane. It costs like $13 to get out there and it takes forever. It's worth it to just go plant yourself there. And if you want to go to Fukuoka, your options are limited. It's not as big of a city, so you take what you can get. You pay what you gotta pay. But once you're in Tokyo, I think maybe this is the best thing to do. Just find a cheap place that you don't hate, and that's just your home base. And yeah, stuff like this today, just hopped on the train for not very long, not long enough. I was trying to do some writing, and it's like, oh crap, I'm already there. And it costs like $2, Like within Tokyo, it's so easy to travel unless you want to go somewhere crazy like way out west. But yeah, I rescind my previous opinion. I don't think it's a great idea to just hop around to all these different places because you just get eaten alive by weird fees that are not necessary. If you can just find a place to plant down that is okay, that is good enough, then that's okay and it's good enough. And you can just travel from there. Because I've been doing a bit of a bad job of transit so far while I'm out here. But really, if I just spent a little more time being a little more careful, researching the route before I left the house, it's really not that bad. In fact, it's amazing. The transit system in Tokyo is fucking crazy. It's got to be the best in the world. It's crazy. It's so good. Tokyo Christmas Market 2023, eh? That's probably the kind of place I should be going at nighttime, but it's on the way as I'm looping back to the old steps. So let's check it out. Yeah, I'm curious too about, I'm really curious how Yokohama's gonna go, because I do suspect a lot of staying in Yokohama is going to involve leaving Yokohama. But this little ride I did on the train today, it would only be 3 times this long to make the same trip from Yokohama. And again, like I said, I got in there, I wrote like one little fucking paragraph. And then I was like, then I realized, maybe I should just organize my MP3s a little bit. What music do I want to listen to today? Just sort that out. Because generally, part of why I'm such a slow writer is shit like that. I'll write a little bit, get distracted, go back, do more writing. But I got distracted, sorted out my MP3s for the day, and then I didn't have time to go back to the writing. I'm like, oh crap, we're already there. So a triple length ride, that's actually a good thing. That's no problem, that's fine. What time is it? Suns are going down already at 3 o'clock. I guess also there's a lot of big buildings around here, so that doesn't help with the daytime. But yeah, as far as flights go, I didn't at all know what to expect, but part of why I booked in Yokohama is I've never been there, and I just presumed, I always leave out of Narita, and Narita is so far away, it's such a pain to get to. I never leave from Haneda, I've never flown anywhere from there. But I just assumed because Seoul is so close, it's less than a 3-hour flight. Like, those flights must leave from Haneda. So that was one thing I was a little surprised by, is when I started searching flights, it's like an extra $100 to leave from Haneda, you know? I was like, geez, it's actually a fairly decent savings to leave from Narita. I guess maybe I shouldn't have aimed for Haneda. I was like, oh well, live and learn. But $100 isn't that bad, you know? It's like the difference between, well, maybe more than 100. The flight I got was like $320, and there were some for like 181. However, I say that, but there's a lot of little things that add up. So the 181 one goes to the airport that's farther away. So I mean, again, not knowing the city, never having been there, if I can go to the closer airport, I don't think that is a bad plan. That's worth a few buckaroos. And only Haneda goes to the closer airport, as far as I can tell. And there's not as many flights as I expected either. There's not that many, and they leave at some seriously weird times. Like for that really cheap one, I'd have to leave at like 1 a.m. and get to Seoul at like 4 a.m. It's like, what the hell? What the fuck is this? So when you reduce it down to flights that leave at a reasonable time, sometime in the, middle of the day, there were actually way less choices. Then it became more like, from my 320, I could maybe drop it down to like 260. And that is just not worth it to travel all the way to Narita and end up at the further airport on the other end just for basically, $50-$60. So once it all shook out, I'm like, okay, that's actually not as bad. But it's not what I expected. I expected Haneda to be, I don't know why I thought this. I just thought Haneda would be the one. I really don't know why I thought that. I don't know anything about Haneda. But I thought there'd be more flights. I thought they'd be a little cheaper. Maybe that's why. Oh yeah, that's right. The flight, back in 2019, I pre-bought a flight. I wasn't sure if I needed proof that I was going to leave Japan. Turns out I didn't. It was fine. So I did buy a flight, and it was from Haneda to Seoul, and it was about $200. And it was non-refundable, and I had to just let it go when I lost my passport and had to go back to Canada. So that's why I think these things, because I did in fact, but that was also maybe because I booked that one months in advance. With a month of advance time, $300 some, carry-on included, a checked bag included. It's like a paradise of just, no problem. And really, that's not a bad deal, that's fine. But then the last thing that I learned, that this all just kind of hit me all of a sudden. I don't know why this had never occurred to me, but I just thought of it yesterday, and it turned out to be true, is because I booked this flight to Fukuoka through Peach Airline, a Japanese airline, and I learned from TripAdvisor not to use third-party booking sites, particularly for something as massive and epic as flying all the way to Japan. It's just not worth it. Not worth the risk. What if something goes wrong? Some of them are very weird fly-by-night operations. But trying to book Peach made my credit card, which is just like, it's really just a bank debit card. I don't have a proper credit card. I don't have good history, but I don't have bad credit history. I have no credit history, which some people have told me is worse, but hey, whatever. That's a problem for future me. But basically my debit card that I use at ATMs can be used as a credit card through websites and stuff. But it got rejected when I tried to order flights through Peach. So I had to call my bank And that turned out to be not as bad as I thought because I didn't realize you could do 1-800 numbers for free through Skype. So I was like, okay, that's what's going to happen this time. I'm going to try to book this flight to Seoul. It's going to get rejected. I'm going to have to sit on hold and call the bank. So I'll have to do this one of these afternoons when nobody's at the Airbnb so I'm not bothering everyone. Oh, there's the big building. It's further away now. The thing is a great landmark. You can see it from all over the place here. So cool. So yeah, just yet another little to-do that I wasn't looking forward to. But then it occurred to me, there's Expedia. I always use Expedia.ca, but it turns out it is not Canadian. It is just a company of American origin. But that company is really big and famous and stuff. It's not Fly Kiwi or I can never remember the other one, Dream Flight something. You know, these ones that have a bad reputation for fake low prices and then they try to rope you into paying more and fucking shenanigans. I was like, yeah, that site's fine. I'm pretty sure I've used it before. That one's really famous and big and like I've never heard anything bad about it. Just in case, I did a quick TripAdvisor search because TripAdvisor is like the best website. Like, any problems with this? Nothing that I could find in my quick gander. So I realized, yeah, it's just also a simple little flight. This is not like with the weird Fly Kiwis and shit. It was like I was potentially plotting out some weird stuff like leave Montreal, go to Las Vegas, transfer to a different airline, fly to Japan from there. All this weird crap that, you know, several different legs of a journey through several different airlines. And if anything went wrong, because I would be buying through a flight reseller, it'd be a lot harder to sort out. But this is just one little quick flight from Japan to Korea, no big deal. And if something did go wrong, like, who cares? Whatever. I don't care if I got to sleep at the airport. I like sleeping at the airport, turns out. But for little things like that, it seems no problem. It's only one flight and it's Expedia. And I was like, wait a second too. I mean, Expedia, big famous American company that everybody knows, that's probably not even going to trigger the bank. Like, the bank's not going to care about that. The bank's not going to mind if I order from there. And they didn't. It just went through. It was only because I was ordering from Peach. So I'm sure, I don't remember the airline, but, you know, there's various Korean and Japanese airlines, so I just got a flight through one of them. I don't remember which one. But perhaps if I had gone straight to their website and ordered, perhaps I would run into the problems again and have to call my bank and blah, blah, blah. So that's yet another addendum to previous stuff. Luckily, to get the full information, all you got to do with this podcast is listen to dozens and dozens and dozens of episodes and you finally get the whole picture. Is that, yeah, for, like I was saying, these big, long, multi-leg trips through various vendors, those weird third-party websites can be okay for making a plan, figuring out what's available, and then you should book each leg from the actual sellers, from the actual airlines by yourself. But for little shit like this, and through a site like Expedia, not only is it no biggie, but your bank won't get mad at you. So it's like, cool, okay. That is an okay thing to do. That's not bad to do, that's good. So my previous findings were not entirely correct. All right, this Christmas market, I do remember this place. I did stop in here once before. Meiji Jingu Gaien. Meiji Memorial Museum is in here. Because, yeah, I just remember I stopped in here one time while I was wandering around, and it was the summertime, and there was a machine that sold hot dogs, and I think maybe hamburgers, and I didn't get one, but it always stuck in my mind, because I'm like, wow, I bet that's gross. They don't have them here, though, this time of year. What they do have is the Tokyo Christmas Market 2023. It's 3:20, it's still daytime. Maybe what I should do is go see those steps. I want to see the steps when the light's still out, and then come back here. However, I am right here. Should I do a quick pass? No, I mean, in fact, this actually no, I'm going to come back here when it's dark, because in the daytime, this place just looks like a bunch of stalls. Not exactly magical. It's going to look a lot better at night. Whereas the steps from your name in the movie, they meet on the steps in the dang daytime. So fuck it, let's go there, because my daytime's running out. I don't have a ton. So yeah, those are my travel updates, and it's just like, and it just makes it, really does change it from this just amorphous stress of like the future, where I'm just like, I don't know, I just don't even know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing after Japan. I wish I didn't even need to figure it out. I wish I could just stay here, but I can't, gotta do something, blah, blah, blah. Where now it's so much smaller of a situation in my brain, it's almost mundane in a good way. Now it's just the standard, yep, so my flight I think that day leaves at 11:30 or something. My Airbnb is really close to Haneda. So I just gotta go to Haneda, stand in a line, then sit on a plane, then, walk to a subway or something, sit on that, walk to a door, put in a code, go in, pass out on a bed. It all seems kind of like mundane, nice and in a good way, nice and easy. None of this is causing me particular stress. Pretty much all there is to figure out now is just the specifics of how to get from the airport to the place, and just how stuff's going to work in general. How does it work in general in Korea? Cash-based? Credit-based? What kind of cards and shit do I need? How's this going to work? But luckily in the YouTube age, all that stuff is not hard to find. Like, I remember the first time I went to Amsterdam, like 2017, I'm gonna say that was. I found a YouTube video of a guy literally doing like a first-person walkthrough of the airport there. It's like, here's how you get from the airport, and you take this little shuttle train to Central Station, and here's how you get through Central Station, and here's how you get onto the subway trains. Here's all the cards you need, here's how to charge them up, here's how to buy tickets, whatever. Actually, they didn't even have the chip card thing yet, I don't think. It was just buying a ticket. Where nowadays it's even easier, because they just have transit cards. But yeah, since I don't have data on my phone, I literally just downloaded that video. So if I had to, I could just watch it on my phone and walk with him in real time through the airport. And at little points I did do that. I got a little confused. I'm a little like, I'm not quite sure where to go next. So I just watched the guy's video and I followed his paces like I'm fucking following some guy's pilgrimage. And then once you do it once, it's the easiest thing in the world. We live in such an easy time. It's fucking great. I always think of my friend Ken in Toronto. He moved to Africa in the 70s and then Japan in the 80s. And it's like, dude, I can't even imagine. I just can't imagine. He's a different level of traveler than me. He is a brave man. And I just sort of imagine that sometimes, of like the level of English right now in Japan. I'm always feeling like there's not enough, but there's enough. There's plenty. Back then there was just none. Just nothing. Good luck, foreign guy. Enjoy cracking this nut. But he did. He met a lady. She moved back to Canada with him. They got married. They had kids. Biggity bang boom. And his Japan stories are awesome. He's really tall. He's like 6'4". He said when he first got here, he kind of got hired by a company, mostly just to be the foreigner, just to have like this guy from this company just wanted to have a big tall white guy on his arm that he could take out drinking and impress his friends, kind of. And Ken was like, yeah, dude, all right. I'm your man. I'll do that job. The guy hooked him up with an apartment, and she's just like, wow. One of those cases where I think of it like a trapeze in some ways. The world is like a trapeze act. You just gotta fling yourself out there and put out your arms and just trust that the people on the other end are gonna grab you. Now that being said, of course, then you get terrible stories of people in Morocco who got beheaded, or those people. What country was it where the cyclist got killed? Obviously random shit happens that's terrible, I'm not saying just go willy-nilly into the great wild beyond. But even in those cases, as awful as these stories are, like when you look into them, it's like, yeah, these people didn't do anything wrong. They're just extremely bad luck. They weren't being unsafe or anything. Ultimately, all you can do is trust. Trust that it's going to work out. But I say that as a guy who's doing his trapeze act with a net. Dude, I have all the nets in the world. My family has money. I'm just a fucking, I don't know. I mean, really, that's all that I need, right? What other nets does a fucking man need? I got money at home. I got money in the family. There we go. You know, where Ken didn't have any goddamn nets. He had some money he made from being a teacher in Africa, and it's like, hey, if this runs out, too bad for me. And I mean, back in those days, like, he would have to, like, write his family. Like, even if he wanted to beg them for money, what are they going to do? Wait till the letter arrives and wire him money? I don't know. He had to make it work, and he did. It's impressive as shit. Because I'm afraid I know enough about myself that I would have done the Canada thing. You know, moving within Canada, that was definitely within my level of bravery. But moving to America, moving to New York was only because I had friends there that helped me set everything up. Visiting the Netherlands even was only because my friend Matt was going, so I had somebody to go with. Coming to Japan is only because my friend Brad came here first. I know where I fall on the pecking order. It's not extremely high in the bravery category. But that being said, I think the advice still stands. If you just trust that the world is basically there to catch you on your trapeze act, you're probably right. You're probably going to be fine. And then very cool stuff happens, and things are fun. Right, I'm having a very hard time getting past this fucking particular tangle of streets. But once I get through this, the steps are very close. Alright, I'm almost there, and the sun is definitely, the light is flagging, so it all worked out just in time. But yeah, this movie, Your Name, it came out in 2016, and it got kind of famous because it was the highest grossing domestic animated movie in Japan. It beat, like, I don't know, Princess Mononoke or whatever, which I gotta admit I've never seen. I haven't seen a ton of Ghibli stuff, but I don't know, it's weird. Ghibli's like the gold standard. But I can't say that I've got like a Ghibli movie I can really point to and be like, oh yeah, that's the one. Maybe that's just not quite my style, I don't know. I liked the concept of Nausicaa a lot, but I tried to go back and start rereading the manga like 2 years ago, and it's really badly written. It's so corny. It's like, fuck this. The hell with this, I'll just continue to be Ghibli agnostic. I'm glad everyone else likes it. But it's like the Beatles or something, these like universally loved things that just I've never had a personal connection to, and without that, there is nothing. So in this case, I'm like, well, you know, I guess I'll watch this just because it's so damn famous. Part of how it made so much money is that apparently people were just going back to see it over and over in the theater. It's quite a phenomenon. So I was like, all right, I'll check this out. But, you know, my hopes weren't high because that usually doesn't work for me either. You know, just because something is a big popular thing is not at all an arbiter of whether I'll like it or not. In fact, sometimes there's stuff that is just like, I just don't know what's happening because like people will shit on something so hard and be like, oh, that thing's so terrible. And then I watch it and I'm like, I thought that was good. You know, so just whatever. I just got to find my own little things and just go with that. Find them as I may. And one of the great things about getting older is not arguing about stupid crap anymore. I can't imagine anymore, like when I was in my 20s or whatever, or my teenage years even. Basically from the moment the internet was fucking invented, going online and arguing about movies and TV shows and video games and shit. It's like, Jesus, what the heck? I don't miss that life. But I also wanted to check out Your Name because I'd just been locked out of anime for so long. I used to like anime a lot. And then just for literally 20 years, every time I would try to get into it again and just try different stuff, it's like, I guess it's okay. Not really compelling, not really doing it for me. And then eventually I found the Yashike genre, which is like, good, you know, Nan Biori and Yoru Camp and Super Cub, stuff like that. There's a new season of Yoru Camp coming out, though you'd never know, because around here no one seems to fucking know it exists. But yeah, that was when I finally found something I could consistently go back to, a whole genre that I liked. Because even Your Name, turns out I did, in fact, like Your Name a ton. If there's gonna be a top-selling freaking movie, it's a good one to have. Because even in this case, it was still just a brief reprieve into liking anime again. Because the same guy, he did a follow-up movie called Weathering with You that I would go so far as to say I hated. I really didn't like it. And I mean, it's possibly a subtle distinction. They're both kind of about magical, weird stuff, but Your Name really does this weird magical stuff in an emotionally resonant way that really stuck with me. It was like, yeah, that feels right. You know, he's using this magical shit to describe a feeling that is a rare, interesting, cool thing to describe. Where Weathering with You was the exact opposite. It was still just weird magical stuff happening, but it was just histrionics and people screaming at the police and literal standoffs about stupid magic shit. I thought that movie was so bad. It was like actively difficult for me to get through. But let us never speak of it again, because Your Name is very excellent. And I appear to be approaching the shrine. I saw a little sign with an arrow. However, I wonder if this happens to them a lot, where some white guy wanders up to the shrine, but it's like, whoops, nope, I came from the wrong angle. This is the wrong approach, because I'm not actually here for the shrine. I'm here for just a random fucking set of stairs. I mean, I guess not random. I guess the stairs are also probably pretty famous in Japan. I mean, probably more famous, I don't know. But they're certainly famous with tourists. Because when I was talking to Anna and her brother, the people from Colombia that I met in Chiba, when they were showing me all their travel pictures and stuff, there was a station, like a rural station they were at. And I was like, oh, is that the station from Your Name? Because the guy in the movie lives in this neighborhood of Tokyo. The girl lives in a rural town. And there's this one shot of the train coming in. Oh, I think I see them. I see the top of the stairs. Yeah, the other shot that stuck with me a lot was this one train station. And I was like, is that the station from Your Name? And they kind of laughed a bit like, yeah, no, it's not. But it's funny that you bring up Your Name. And I thought maybe, it's like, what, are these anime hipsters fucking, are they trying to say that I'm just a basic anime bitch because I'm referencing the most famous anime of all time? But no, they were like, you want to see Your Name? Here you go. And it was them, them at this staircase. That's why they were laughing, is because of course they came to the Your Name stairs. Of course they did. Well, yep, that's them, all right. Oh, and there's a Japanese guy taking a picture. It's not just us foreigners that are constantly here. Although I do see some non-white foreigners down here that are that's probably why they're here as well, if I had to guess. Oh, it's so weird to walk down steps from an anime and just to keep going. I'm not just going to hang out there and talk because there's too many people around. I kind of thought there might be. I'm like, it's a pretty famous spot. But just to keep walking, it's like, oh, this is what happens if you keep going at the bottom of the stairs and keep walking. Man, that is a surprisingly surreal feeling. Yeah, there's the people I saw at the bottom. Now the lady's halfway up taking a selfie. Yeah, I don't know. I was going to take a picture because why not? Everybody's got to take a picture, right? But now I feel weird about it. This is the most touristy kind of thing in a weird way that I've really done. It's just so strange to just see. I'm sure I could come here like literally any time and there'd just be other people taking the picture, taking the famous picture. But that's also a reason why it would be no biggie if I didn't take the picture, because there's a million copies of this picture out there. I'm just gonna walk around the block. Let's just walk around the block and head on back. But yeah, basically, I mean, I'm gonna talk about this anime a bit. If you haven't seen it, I mean, I think I don't think it even needs a recommendation. You know, it's the highest grossing anime in the history of Japan. Just go see it. Like, you know, that's a good reason to watch it, right? That's really all you need. Oh, there's some other folk. I guess that's interesting too, is anime fans around the world. Obviously, Anna and her brother were from Colombia, and these people that just passed me that with their little selfie sticks and stuff, I think they were probably from India, if I had to guess. and the people that were over at the steps were also just like not just white nerds or not even just black nerds. A lot of black nerds out there, but there's nerds of all the colors of the rainbow from all the corners of the earth. We all watch this damn anime. But yeah, I'm just going to talk about it a bit in broad strokes, so I won't like spoil it, so to speak, but it will be somewhat spoiled because I have to, just to talk about basically what it's about. But if you haven't seen it, I think you should just forget about listening to me. Just go watch it. But if you haven't seen it and you don't want to go watch it, feel free to listen to me because, even if I do give away some of it, if it gets you to go watch it, then, hey, it was all worth it, right? It all worked out. But it's basically this story about, starts with body swapping shenanigans where this girl and this guy wake up in each other's bodies. And to me, as much weird, magical stuff as happens in it, that's the hardest part for me to swallow, is, it starts very lighthearted of just them trying to navigate each other's lives. And they kind of flip-flop between each other's bodies. I don't remember the exact, how often it happens type of thing or when it happens exactly. But this girl who lives in the rural town comes from a lineage of people that this happens to them, where they get connected to some guy and then they swap bodies and trade lives. But the thing that makes it hard for me to believe is not the body swapping, it's how they manage to successfully navigate one another's lives. Like, the dude, he just works at a restaurant. But, I worked at a restaurant for a while as a dishwasher, and then after that I was a barista, which is not entirely unsimilar, but in both cases it's like, they're not hard jobs. By the third day you kind of know how everything works. You could probably run the whole place if you had to. But the first day is horrible. It's like trying to use a Japanese laundry machine when you can't translate it. It's just insurmountable amounts of weirdness. That's what every job is like, it's just all the little details of not only how the devices work and how the specifics of the actual job go, but just all the little idiosyncratic things about each job and what your position is at a job and what you're supposed to do and how everything's supposed to work. It's not hard when you know how to do it, but if you don't know how to do it, it's totally overwhelming and impossible. You cannot just jump into someone's body and become a waiter. You just can't. That's full crash, You would need to start over. You would need to be like, I'm sorry, I have amnesia. Literally start me from ground zero and teach me this job again, please. So to me, it's funny, of all the things in that movie, that's the part I had the hardest time swallowing, is I'm like, no way you did that job. No fucking way. But whatever. Basically, they learn to communicate with each other. They leave notes for each other and stuff. They figure out what's going on, and they sort of deal with it. They work with it. It's like, okay, we're going to body swap once in a while. Let's try not to ruin each other's lives. Ta-da. But the dude basically tracks down who this girl is and where she's from. And he's like, I got to go talk to her in person. I got to go take the long train ride out to the sticks. And we got to talk face to face. And that's when the movie takes a big turn, because her town got destroyed in like a big natural disaster. It's not there anymore. So that's when they realize not only are they swapping bodies, but they're also jumping a few years through time to do this. So in his timeline, she's already dead, which is understandably weird and disturbing and concerning. And yeah, basically just again, not to give away stuff, but just through magical, wacky, they figure out how to do stuff to fix this, to change the past, so that everybody can evacuate and not die. This is where I feel double weird talking about this, because I know it's like sleeper agents. I know that there's other anime fans, other travelers, other foreigners all around here. And if they hear me talking, they definitely know what I'm talking about. It's like, why? This guy is walking around very blatantly talking about your name near the your name steps. It's a very weird feeling, because normally I'm so anonymous. I'm just walking around talking about nothing, and mostly around people who don't know what I'm talking about anyway. Where this is like, not only is everybody going to know what I'm talking about, it's like, I don't know, it's just very weird. This feels weird. Anyway, let's head back toward the steps and see how besotted with visitors it is right now. But yeah, basically, the price they have to pay to fix this situation, to make it so the people in her village evacuate and they aren't killed in this disaster, is then it changes the past, which changes the future. So this body swapping stuff is now like erased, like it never happened. So the price they pay is that this connection they've built up is gone. They don't know each other anymore. So again, there you go. I kind of described the whole movie to you, but obviously that's like nothing. That's very much the surface level. Here's just the facts, ma'am. Here's what happens. But it's a very good movie, and I recommend it greatly. So why these steps are important is that sometime after these events, we're in the new timeline where the girl survived, but she doesn't know this guy anymore. She's never met him or had any reason to know of his existence, but she's moved to Tokyo, so they're both there. And the final scene of the movie is that they walk past each other on these steps. And that scene just says so much stuff without actually saying it, of just, you can tell, they look back at each other and then they stop. And they just have this sense that they know each other, in some weird, distant, just when you feel spiritually connected to somebody, or you meet somebody and it's just so perfectly comfortable, but you don't know why, and it's almost like you knew them in another life. And this is basically the literal version of that. That is what happened to them. And this is basically Jesus, are you kidding, guy? Right in the middle of talking about this beautiful moment, just a guy with the squeaky brakes. So many little noises. This is basically the literal version of that. That really did happen to them. They really did know each other in a different life. And the last line of the movie is just one of them asking the other, "What's your name?" And it's so beautiful, it's insane. I think I gotta watch that movie again. It's such a perfect ending. Man, an ending goes such a long way. The perfect dismount, it just doesn't happen that often. And that's one of the all-time perfect endings. It's just perfect. Now here's a whole new gaggle of people. Geez, yeah, and that time it took me to walk around the block, there's a fellow white guy. Yeah, there's 6 people. Okay, 2 of them are the ones that are still there. 2 of them are the ones I saw walking by. Yeah. Man, and this is, again, just a random day. I'm tempted to try to take a picture. I'm not gonna, because I'm not a sneaky voyeur. But it would almost be better to take a picture of the people taking a picture. That's the more relevant, notable thing to say about this stairway. However, what I am going to do is now I'm going to walk the other way. So that was walking down the steps. What if you walk up the steps? This is what happens. That's a weird thought too. The other version of the ending, the pointlessly depressing one. What if they just walked by each other and didn't recognize each other? One of them would be walking down that way, one of them would be walking this exact way that I'm walking right now. Yeah, whereas Weathering with You, I don't even remember how it ended, to be honest. It's weird in cases like that when there's a 1-2 where they're perfect examples of the inverse. When you get adjacent works that are made by the same person, and one of them is the perfect textbook example of how to do something, and then the other one is the textbook example of how not to do something, That's how I feel about Your Name and Weathering with You. And the other example I always think of with that is The Last of Us. I wrote a whole book about The Last of Us. If you're curious, you can read it at keithcourage.com for free. But the first Last of Us game is the perfect version of here's how to make grounded, realistic characters and have a storyline emerge from those characters in a natural feeling way. And, you know, now there's the HBO show and stuff. I think everybody's pretty on board. That like, yep, Last of Us was good. But then Last of Us 2 is like the perfect example of how not to do things. Like instead of natural characters and a plot that flows naturally from them, Last of Us 2 is like, let's just make these characters into ciphers. Let's just make them into symbols of ideas. So that's annoying. It's a bad start. And then additionally, how about we make them symbols of ideas that aren't worth exploring, of just like really stupid ideas that are dumb and annoying. I think if you ever find yourself writing a character who's the personification of revenge, get a fucking grip. You're fucking up. You're doing it wrong. But anyway, that's besides the point. Last of Us 1, super good. Your Name, super good. Oh, there's my two folk from India. They're leaving. So I'm going to go walk by the steps one last time. See if that original couple is still there. They're loving those steps. They're living there. But yeah, this is surprisingly cool. This was another one of those things that I'm like, oh, I don't know if I will necessarily go see the steps. They're just some steps. But it felt really good. Oh, there we go. Some nice noise for once. Someone's practicing violin. But yeah, it felt really good to walk down those steps. I think I'm going to go walk down them one more time. Maybe I'll go try to find that train station too, because that was the other place, you know, like if the steps are in his neighborhood, then the train station is hers. And it's just this shot where you're above the platform looking down. And I've been to many train stations that feel quite a bit like that. I think a lot of the rural train stations have a similar design. But maybe I'll see where that one is. See how far that is, see how hard that is to get to. Because yeah, I was surprised. I'm surprised how cool it feels to walk down these stairs. It's really neat. I mean, I guess way back when I lived in New York, I went to the Flight of the Conchords apartment just whenever they would show establishing shots of the outside of their apartment. And it's just some building in Chinatown. And I was like, hey, there it is. The Flight of the Conchords apartment. This feels significantly cooler than that. I love the Flight of the Conchords, but there was it was literally just a random establishing shot. It really had nothing to do with anything. Where these steps, man, these steps are the shit. They're an important part of cinema history. Yeah, the pictures never end. New people taking pictures. This is fucking wild. It'd be cool to set up like a time-lapse camera or something. Do people just come here and take pictures all the livelong day, every day? Yeah, not even a time-lapse for the day. What if you set up a time-lapse every day for years? Maybe it'd just be a non-stop line of people just all the time taking pictures. Yeah, and still this one other white guy is the only white guy. I don't know, I just find that kind of interesting. That anime, man. Because there's this weird idea that even the people I hung out with in Chiba at the izakaya, the Japanese girl who didn't have very much English, so she kind of had to interpret through people, she said that she thought that Japanese culture was not popular around the world. It was not well known. And I said, like, I absolutely think that's not true. I do think it is, but I did give the caveat of, you know, otaku, maybe. Like your average businessman or whatever probably doesn't know anything. You know, it is the nerds. It's the anime nerds. But there's a lot of anime nerds in North America. And now I'm learning there's a lot of anime nerds fucking everywhere, in every country. But all right, I guess I'm going to go ruin some pictures because I'm going to go walk down these steps one last time. Then I'm going to head to the Christmas market. All right, back at the Christmas market. It seems okay. You know, it's lit up. It's got some lights, but it's nothing like amazing. It's just a lot of stalls in there. It was a lot easier to find on the way back because now that the sun has set, I just followed the people. Just followed the people over an overpass and around a corner and across the street and back into here. And it's like, yep, all them people, they were all coming here. So I was like, oh, that's convenient. But then the dark underbelly of having a nice crowd to follow is it's like, oh shit, there's a lineup from hell to get into there. You know, turnstiles and stuff. There's a nice little song playing. I don't know if you can hear that. And the sound of Christmas skateboarders. It's weird having the weather be this good at Christmas. But yeah, since all I was going to do was just kind of wander around anyway, and even just walking in the crowd of people, it still makes me feel a little weird, where it's just like, oh, I'm just right by all these people. What the hell? Why is tequila playing at the Christmas market? That's making me feel better about leaving. Like, what the fuck was that? Talk about breaking the spell. There was this nice Christmas market and this ethereal music playing. Anyway, I don't like being packed in around people. It still makes me nervous. And yeah, even as I'm leaving now, just a non-stop line of people still coming in. Just a big whack of them. It's not gonna stop. So yeah, I'd have to really pack in, line up, and I'm not gonna do anything in there anyway, so no Christmas market for me. But that's fine, it looks nice. And that big tall tower, the big building that I keep seeing, it's all lit up and purple at the top. It looks all cool. Got my taste of the beautiful city nighttime lights. And again, since this was an easy adventure, all I gotta do now is go walk up the street for a bit, hop back on that train, go the fuck home. Not bad, not bad. Which is good, because yeah, I'm out of juice already, out of energy. I've been drinking coffee like a fiend all day. Now the sun's down, so I gotta stop doing that. But also, to finish things off, I did take the picture. I took the damn picture. Just as I was leaving, it cleared out just enough. I still had to kind of jostle around people a bit, but it cleared out just enough right as I was gonna leave that I could at least just sort of sidle in and take a couple pictures without, taking pictures of the other people taking their pictures. so I got the picture. I got a picture at the top, I got a picture at the bottom. Mission complete. But of course, the real mission was just to go there, and it was cool. It was really cool. I was surprised how cool it was to just see those random steps. And now I'm gonna go home. So thank you for listening. Please tune in next time. And until then, see you the frig later.